I'm once again going to be talking about Michelle Trachtenberg today, though she's not all I'm going to be talking about. I did, however, want to bring up this 2005 film that she was in called Ice Princess. And in this film, Michelle played Casey Carlisle, your CC. And when you look at that, the film is 97 minutes long, which is a total of 137 minutes. We already have our big 137 number, and we're just getting started. And released on March 18th, 2005. And the title gives us our 162 611 number, our 444, our 55 Satan number in the Satanic Cipher, but most importantly, our 57, because Michelle Trachtenberg died on the 57th day of the year. Now, why am I bringing this up right now? Because of the situation, the obvious psyop revolving around this disgusting creature right here in the Twin Cities yet again. Of course, this vile thing purportedly killed by ice. And I see all these people saying what a good person she was and all this other crap. But from everything I've read about her, if she's even a real person and not an actor, she sounds like a demon. Like somebody you wouldn't want to know, to put it lightly. But remember that 3/18/2005 release date on Ice Princess. Well, what would you say if I told you that going from the release of Ice Princess to the supposed death of Renee Good is exactly 7,600 days? Of course, 7/6, the birth date of George Bush Jr., the 9/11 president. Also your backwards 6/7, Elvis, Jesse, water number. Of course, water turns into ice. And that Heliofont channel just posted an icy river with a bunch of videos that added up to 9/11. So what are the odds that going from Ice Princess to the date this woman was, or this demon was supposedly killed by ice? Iced by ice. Let's choose those choice of words. Equals our 9/11 president's birthday. Also, 20 times 9 times 20 is 3,600 for your 3/6. Now, also, don't let me forget the simple fact that 7 times 6 is 42. Can't forget that one. And also, never forget that anytime you see 282, it can be either a 162 or a 216, depending on which 2 you multiply by the 8, along with our occultic 19. The Ice Princess release date has 46 date numerology, and never forget that Elvis's birthday is 88 days before April 6th. And Good's so-called death date has numerology of 54. Well, 46 times 54 equals 2484. We have our 84 both forwards and backwards, along with a backwards 42. And of course, 8 plus 4 plus 4 is 16, 216. And by the way, Michelle Trachtenberg died 7,285 days after the release of Ice Princess. 2 times 8 is 16, so this could be a 165, Trump born on the 165th day of the year. And guess what 7 days before 6/14 is? 6/7. And then there's also the fact that 72 times 85 is 612. 6120 612, George Bush Sr. birth date. Backwards 21684. With the end date included, if you multiply these, you'd still get a 612, but I'm not going to go into that right now. 19 years, 11 months, 9 days. Your 9/11/01, and your backwards 9/11. And 19 plus 11 plus 9 is 39. Michelle Trachtenberg died at the age of 39. And you know what? I'll show it anyway, but I'm going to stop trying to get so convoluted with my videos. I'm just showing you that the numbers always add up no matter what. 72 times 86 is 6192. 1 plus 9 plus 2 is 12. 612 again. And 19 times 11 times 9, aside from the 39, when you add them, when you multiply, it's 1881. Like a mirror. Also, Ice Princess. I is the 9th letter, P is the 16th. 9 plus 16 is 25. And R is the 18th letter. G is the 7th. 18 plus 7 is also 25. Michelle Trachtenberg died exactly 45 weeks before this whole good incident. Also 315 days. 3 times 15 is 45. It says Good had 3 children, a 15-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 6-year-old. Of course, you add those ages up and you get 33. The Good PSYOP was exactly 119 days after the Charlie Kirk event, and 108 days after his farce of a memorial, our 1/8. Also 3 months, 17 days, our big 137 number, our backwards 713. And remember that Michelle died exactly 28 weeks before the Charlie Kirk thing. Remember, I've been telling you those 28 years later movies are important, the 28 days later franchise. Well, Michelle died exactly 16 weeks, 2 days before 28 years later came out. That's your 162, 611 number. 114 days, 11 times 4, 44 the kill number. And the Good PSYOP was exactly 9 days before the release of the next 28 years later film, The Bone Temple. 216 hours, our 21684. And of course, 116 is the backwards 611, the upside down 911. Remember, Good supposedly died 119 days after Charlie Kirk. Michelle died 28 weeks before Kirk. It all connects. The disgusting wife of the demon said we had whistles, they had guns. That equals 216, our 84 number, pointing again back to Trump. Also our 108, our 288. And remember, 288 can also be 216 because 8 plus 8 is 16. 33. The demon was 36 years old. The killing of Renee Good, 21684, twice. Now, Michelle Trachtenberg's death date has a date numerology of 73, our EL number. And remember that Good's supposed death date has date numerology of 54. So wouldn't you know, if we add 73 to 54, we get our 12-7 Pearl Harbor date, our buildings 1, 2, and 7 number. Our 12 times 7 is 84 number. I also wanted to mention professional wrestler Darby Allin, who wrestles in AEW, and who was born on January 7th, 1993. So the whole ICE incident happened on his 33rd birthday. And yes, AEW did have an episode that night, and Darby Allin was on the show. And what was Darby Allin doing on his birthday? He was confronting wrestler Pac, trying to get a match with him, as he's interviewed by Renee Paquette, interestingly enough. And look what's between them there, a fire extinguisher. Pac refused to give him a match, so Darby wound up attacking Pac by spraying him with a fire extinguisher before threatening to break his ankle in the doorway. Now, what is in fire extinguishers? Dry ice. Yeah. And there's even another fire extinguisher there by the door that he's threatening to break his ankle in. But of course, Pac winds up accepting the match. And Darby Allin's birth date numerology is 120. Remember that Ice Princess equals 120. And speaking of the 57, not only did Michelle Trachtenberg die on the 57th day of the year, but May 7th, 5/7 is the 127th day of the year. And look at that, fire extinguishers. And remember, there were 2 of them in that scene. Equals 21684. Sure is popping up a lot, isn't it? Dry ice, 64. Remember, the Space Needle will be 64 later this year. Kill also equals 64. And as a result of the attack with the fire extinguishers, we will be getting Darby Allin versus Pac, which equals 159, which is important because not only is it our 121st composite number, and the 121st day of the year is May Day, the day of pagan sacrifice, but also it sums up to 216, as you can see here. 1, 3, 53, 159. Add them up and you get your 21684 number yet again. There's also the fact that the 159th composite number is 206. And remember, Trachtenberg is all about those 26 codes. The demon's so-called wife, 55 Satan number, how fitting. Along with a 44 kill number and a 33. Now, what's interesting about Darby Allin, other than the fact that he turned 33 on 1/7, and that he was born the day before Elvis's birthday, is that he spent most of 2025 out of the wrestling ring, and instead climbing Mount Everest. In fact, he reached the summit of Mount Everest on May 18th. Now, what do you find on Mount Everest and on most mountains? Ice. In fact, in an interview, Darby Allin talked about seeing many frozen dead bodies that are forever stuck on the mountain, and how that affected his mindset. Now, if we go from the date of Darby summiting Everest to the ice incident, is exactly 234 days. The 234th day of the year is 8/22, Irina Zarutska's death date. Her death created its own firestorm, though nowhere near what this one's creating. It's all about politics in the end. The stupid left-right paradigm. What the libs will get upset about to go on their little tirades. And yes, while it's all a left-right paradigm, there's no doubt that the libs have the far more vile views. And of course, 8/22 is your backwards 228, Elvis dying on the 228th day of the year. Also 33 weeks and 3 days. That's your 333 number, which is also half of 666. And 33 plus 3 is your 36. And good was 36. Ironic name because from what I've read, there was nothing good about her. Also, I don't think it should come as any surprise that Allen's summit was 81 days after Michelle Trachtenberg's death. Remember, the 81st day of the year is 322. It's also your backwards 18. Also 2 months, 22 days for your as above, so below, order out of chaos number. 11 weeks, 4 days, 11 times 44, the kill number. And since there's been some weird coding involving Val Kilmer with AEW, from Kilmer's death to Darby's summit, exactly 47 days. Of course, Trump, the 47 president. Mount Everest gives us our 162611 number yet again, our 66 twin number, our Golden Gate Bridge birthday. 527 is the 147th day of the year. This can even be a 162 because 8 plus 8 is 16. I've been finding a ton of 162 to 16 numbers in these ciphers, along with the beast system numbers that they like to encode specifically in those 3 ciphers. And Mount Everest Darby Summit gives us our 322 Skull and Bones and our big 137, the 33rd prime, one of the most occultic numbers there is. And no, there's no such thing as a bad number, but it's all in how they use them. Oh, and I completely almost forgot to mention one of the most damning parts. Darby Allin is from Seattle, Washington. So yeah, born the day before Elvis's birthday, turned 33 this year, born in Seattle. His former ring name was Darby Graves. Gives us our 6-7, our 122. Remember about the whole Boxer Santaros Anthony Joshua thing. Dwayne Johnson born on the 122nd day of the year. Again, all of this stuff that's been happening the past few weeks, a lot of it is about the July 4th codes. And we get our 137 yet again. Now, Darby made his big return to AEW at AEW All In, which is usually held in England, but this year was held right up the road from me in Arlington, Texas. And look at the date, July 12th, our backwards 12-7 Pearl Harbor, 127 numbers. And remember, in weapons, the big number was 217. 7 times 12, you're 84. Remember that Kelly Preston died on July 12th. And presumably so did Benjamin Keogh. And Darby returned to this event not to wrestle, mind you, but to help in the main event, where Hangman Adam Page defeated Jon Moxley in a Texas death match to win the AEW World Championship. Now, Jon Moxley is from Cincinnati, Ohio, and the guy who beat him, his finishing move is called the Buckshot Lariat. Buck, like the Buckeye State, Ohio. And take a look at Jon Moxley's birth date, December 7th, 1985. So he turned 40 on the 84-year anniversary of Pearl Harbor. And how interesting then that his last name in real life is Good. Jonathan David Good. And he's married to Renee Paquette, who was interviewing Pac when Darby attacked him with the fire extinguisher. This being Renee Paquette here. And of course, the ICE agent who supposedly took out Renee Good was named Jonathan Ross. And this is Adam Page, the one who beat Moxley on 7/12 to end his reign of terror as the world champion, who had been holding the title hostage in a briefcase with the help of Darby Allin. Not from Ohio, but does use the buckshot lariat and is friends with the tag team known as the Young Bucks. They're not from Ohio either. They're from California. And yes, I do watch AEW. That's how I know all of this. I used to watch WCW back in the day. Then I stopped watching wrestling for forever because I could never, ever stand WW shitty. Ever. I hated that company always. So when AEW came back around, I decided to start watching it. And, I actually do enjoy it. So, but I can see the codes. I couldn't tell you a single thing about WW shitty, but I can tell you a whole lot about AEW. But yeah, I want you to go back to what I said earlier about 8/22, which is of course our backwards 228, because remember Darby Allin versus Pac. That's what he was doing on his birthday, getting his match with Pac made. And Pac was born on August 22nd, 1986. Go figure, right? Irina Zarutska death date caused a bit of a firestorm. Even Charlie Kirk was talking about her before what happened to him. And now what happened on Darby Allin's birthday is causing even more of a firestorm, because the left side of the left-right paradigm is always going to be the more insanity-inducing side. Pac's real name is Benjamin Satterley, 193. The 193rd day of the year is 7/12. What was I just talking about? Darby Allin returned on 7/12 at All In, Texas. Also our 6/7. And AEW All In is their biggest show of the year. Again, it's usually in the UK at Wembley Stadium. Interesting that Darby Allin's last name would basically be All In. And the thing about Darby Allin is that he wrestles like he has a death wish. He was in a car accident with, I think it was his uncle back in the day, and he said it sort of killed a part of himself, so now he has a devil-may-care attitude, and that's why he wrestles the way he does. That's why he does all the insane stunts he does, like climbing Everest, etc. And when you know that Darby Allin, Seattle, which is where he's from, gives us our 180 and 1/8 3 times. Darby Allin, the death-defying style. Final Destination, about death coming for plane crash survivors. Flight 180. So if we go from AEW All In Texas, where Darby Allin returned, to the ICE incident, 179 days. Trump is currently 79. 79 plus 1 is 80. He'll be 80 on 8/4 this year. Also, 17 plus 9 is 26. All this is happening in the year 26. Also 5 months, 26 days, which is an interesting date, and I'll get back to why that is later. In 25 weeks, 4 days, remember 9/11 happened on the 254th day of the year. I also can't go without mentioning that Cincinnati-born John Moxley, or Jonathan Good, is the leader of a group called the Death Riders. The Death Riders gives us our 111. Of course, the Seattle Space Needle opened on the 111th day of the year. 9/11 leaves 111 days remaining in the year. Today is 111, by the way. And Mark Blucas, who was born in Butler, was on Buffy and left the show on 2/26/2002, exactly 23 years before Michelle Trachtenberg died on that same date. Anyway, it also gives us our 57. Michelle Trachtenberg died on the 57th day of the year. And wouldn't you know, our 666 and our big upside down 9/11/01 number. And his second in command in the Death Riders is Claudio Castagnoli, another CC, and he is from Lucerne, Switzerland. Where did we just have a fire on the first of the year? Switzerland. And aside from our 6-7, Castagnoli also gives us our big 888. And can you believe this? Lucerne, where he's from, 666 as well. Our 111 as well, 33. Michelle Trachtenberg died at the age of 39. And of course, Lucerne has the word CERN in it. Where is CERN? In Switzerland. I mean, I personally think my last few decodes have been some of the best that I've ever done. I don't know if anyone else feels the same way, but I'm finding some pretty big stuff here, I think. Of course, that's not going to keep YT from messing with my likes, which I know they're doing because I specifically had my friend post a bunch of likes on my video. It said they were there, and when I went back and looked on my own account, the likes were gone. I just wanted to test it out because I had a feeling they were messing with my likes, and lo and behold, they were. But I'm not going to let it get me down. I do this because I enjoy the puzzle. And Darby specifically came back from Mount Everest to take everything from Moxley, and it culminated in an I Quit match at Wrestle Dream, which was on October 18th. Now first, remember how I said the Beast System is being coded in these ciphers here. The Beast System, your 1086. And wouldn't you know that Wrestle Dream equals 1086 in reverse Sumerian. And how did I start off this decode? By showing that Ice Princess came out 7,600 days before the so-called Ice incident. Well, I Quit equals 76. And remember how Darby's Everest Summit on 5/18 was 81 days after Michelle Trachtenberg's death. Well, his I Quit match on 10/18 was 81 days before Good's supposed death and before his 33rd birthday. And he made Moxley say I quit 1 month, 19 days before his 12/7 birthday. You're backwards 9/11. And remember that Michelle's death date numerology is 73. And so is the date of the I Quit match at Wrestle Dream. Remember Wrestle Dream equaling your 888. And getting back to Ice Princess, the Ice incident happened exactly 88 days after Michelle Trachtenberg's most recent birthday. That 88 portal trump infinity number. Remember Michelle, all about the tower sacrifice to open the portal. And don't forget the plane crash involving the figure skaters that happened near Washington, D.C. last year on January 29th, killing all 67, there's that number, people aboard. In fact, it was 67 total victims, including 28 from the figure skating community, which means if you subtract those 28 from the 67, it equals 39, and Michelle Trachtenberg, who played the Ice Princess, died at the age of 39. And from the release of Ice Princess to that crash, 19 years, 10 months, 11 days, a big 9/11 number. In fact, Michelle's death was 28 days later. And Charlie Kirk's supposed death was 28 weeks later after Michelle's death. And from the plane crash involving the figure skaters to the supposed death involving ICE, exactly 11 months, 9 days, your 9/11 number. And remember again, what did the iPet Goat channel just do with all the videos involving an icy river where the time of the videos adds up to 9/11? Heliofont and the figure skater plane crashed into the Potomac River, or Potomac, however the hell you say it. Potomac? Now, I also wanted to quickly talk about Val Kilmer real quick. Born on December 31st, died on April 1st. And remember everything I was talking about with April 1st in my blackout video? Well, something weird that seems to connect to Val Kilmer has happened in AEW that I've been noticing. Mercedes Varnado, who goes by the ring name Mercedes Moné, Moné being an anagram for Omen, I might add, just lost her TBS title at the end of the year. And I mentioned I would get back to that May 26th date because it was May 26th, 2024, when Mercedes Moné won the TBS title. And from that date to Val Kilmer's death is 44 weeks and 2 days. 44, of course, is the kill number, and 2 times 44 is your 88. Well, you might be asking, why am I bringing up Mercedes Moné in reference to Val Kilmer? Well, it just so happens that, of course, Val Kilmer's daughter is named Mercedes Kilmer. And Kilmer starred in this 80s movie, 1988 no less, Willow. Well, Mercedes Moné defeated a wrestler by the name of Willow Nightingale to win the TBS title. Pretty strange, right? Well, it gets stranger. Because Mercedes Moné lost the TBS championship back to Willow Nightingale on December 31st, 2025. And December 31st is Val Kilmer's birthday. Now, how bizarre is that? If this isn't some kind of coding for Val Kilmer, I don't know what is. And remember that Val Kilmer died 162 days before the Charlie Kirk incident. 162, your 6/11 number. And Moné's historic reign was a total of 584 days. Erica and Charlie Kirk supposedly married on 5/8, and you have your 8/4 in there as well. Mercedes Moné equals our backwards 9/11 number. And her real name of Mercedes Varnado gives us our 147. Golden Gate Bridge birthday is the 147th day of the year. And our 66, plus our 882, which can be a 162. Just plain Mercedes gives us our order out of chaos, as above, so below number in Latin. So interesting that they would put an anagram for omen with her name. Also our 36 and our 45. And before she lost the title, she had given herself the nickname Ultimo Monet, which of course gives us our huge 137 number. Highly occultic number, the 33rd prime. The reason Trump got his ear clip on 7/13. The reason Shannon Doherty died on 7/13. Also our 47 and our 822, backwards 228. And yes, here is your absolute undeniable proof that it was a ritual involving Val Kilmer. Because going from April 1st, 2025, when Kilmer died, to December 31st, when Monet lost the TBS title, and which is also Kilmer's birthday, is 274 days. And you may be asking yourself why that's a big deal. Simple. Because 137 times 2 equals 274. And what have I been saying on my channel for forever now? 137. The highly occultic 33rd prime. And to top it all off, they had Mercedes come out during the new champions celebration, which was on 1/7 no less. Basically in funeral attire, mourning the loss of her championship before going crazy. And that's weird, isn't it? Funeral attire for a wrestling title, mourning a wrestling title. It's almost as if they were making a nod to Mercedes Kilmer mourning her father. And right here we have Val Kilmer's daughter Mercedes honors her late father on his birthday. The very day Mercedes Monet lost the title, which she now mourns. And just to wrap this up, mourning equals our 111, our 66, and of course our big 666. Finding a lot of those in this decode here. Also our 42. But anyway, I was just going to talk about the Kilmer thing. I wasn't even going to mention the ice stuff because I didn't really care too much about it. But then I remembered the Ice Princess Trachtenberg connection, and it got me to thinking, because I'm always on that Trachtenberg scent, as you well know. So it brought to mind this other stuff, because I've mentioned before about Darby Allin having the birth date close to Elvis. So, but anyway, definitely an interesting rabbit hole. Also, before I go, something that I saw on Facebook, but I couldn't find it when I went back to look. Someone showed a pentagram in somebody's window, and it was supposedly from the scene of the ICE incident. It was somewhere in the footage they showed. Worth looking into if you can find it. I'll look for it again when I get the chance. Pentagram, of course, giving us our 888 number. And another 57. But anyway, just another stupid psyop to cause division. Ritualistic nonsense. All glory to God, and thank you for watching. Oh, and I almost forgot. They played a promo package for this wrestler known as Brody King on the 1/7 episode. They don't often do promotional packages for wrestlers in AEW, so I thought this was a little odd. But the thing is, he is one of Darby Allin's old rivals, and he had an Abolish ICE shirt made not too long ago. So he connects to ICE too. And it says his real name is Nathan Troy Blovelt, or however the hell you say that. And wouldn't you know, he's born on March 17th. That's our 137 number. And remember that Final Destination, the first one, came out on 3/17 in the year 2000. So the connections never stop, huh? And his real name equals 231. Also our 102, Shannon Doherty, born on the 102nd day of the year. 10/2 is Frank's prophecy date in Donnie Darko. And again, how appropriate that he was born on 3/17, the Final Destination release date, because 231 is the 180th composite number. Final Destination, all about Flight 180. So, I rest my case. It's all so very deeply coded. But anyway, now all glory to God, and thank you for watching.